welcome back. So our last session, I had an entertaining time with a haunted desert. Was it? No, not quite desert. It was fairly desert in that all the trees had died, admittedly. In which, yes, everyone died because of everything turning into zombies, and we having only about half of an idea how to play Dwarf Fortress, which is not the best of an occasion in which to be suddenly dropped into a haunted area where everything that you kill comes back to life and attacks you, including all of your own dwarves. So now I think we want to try again, and my inclination is to say that a group of the dwarves back in whatever mountain homes my last batch of dwarves came from have noticed that they've stopped getting the carrier pigeons from the previous settlement, and wondered what has happened, especially since the last carrier pigeon came back undead. So possibly the little note round its leg that just said brains. So obviously, being sensible sorts, the dwarves, another group of 7 dwarves from the mountain homes, will set off into the haunted wilderness to find out what happened. Possibly slightly more forewarned than the last one. Maybe remembering how to make a reasonably hermetically sealed fortress. I'm not sure.
Well, you missed Penguin acting out part of a carrier pigeon or possibly a carrier stoat.
Thank you.
Completely plummeting out of the sky.
So, we will continue the same region as before. Yes. So 14 days have passed, or will have passed, since the last fortress, which lasted all of 5 weeks, died. And yes, Claire, we will try to remember to close the door. I think we might bring some doors with us just to be on the safe side.
I mean, this feels like closing the stable door after the horse has bolted, but this is because you've just put more horses back in there. Right,
so that was that was the last one, wasn't it? Yes. Letmoszaneg, which was next to a stream, possibly in an unhappy place. In the early spring of 157, the Saxon pointing of the Palisade of Gulfs founded Cobaltrelics. In the mid-spring of 157, the Saxon pointing and the Palisade of Gulfs settlement of Cobaltrelics withered. Well, more kind of died at the hands of a bunch of zombies.
Yeah, squawk.
So, yes, let us reclaim Cobaltrelics. I think we might want to prepare slightly carefully for this, so let's try choosing prepare carefully. When you prepare carefully, you get 200 points and a bunch of completely useless dwarves that you can give extra information to, extra abilities and equipment to. And I'm now going, am I really? No, well, I have. Yes, okay, so which means I have to remember how this works. So we've got we've got a standard bunch of equipment. So we've got 2 copper picks, 2 copper battle axes, a steel anvil, some 20 beer, 40 wine, 5 blunt pelmets more, etc., etc. Prepared beetle brain.
Any anti-vampire or ghost juice or whatever it is you need to stop them, please?
I think what we mostly need is means of blocking the entrance reasonably quickly, which is mostly a door or 2, because I think mostly we just want to keep everything out. We might want to try to actually bring more weapons, but weapons are expensive. So we've got 2 picks and 2 battle axes at the moment. How about we get enough weapons for everyone to have one? So does no? That's just. Well, I suppose actually we can just say, well, so the picks are cheaper. So if we just add 3 more copper picks, that has a slight problem. We have very little left, but like we don't need quivers. We need 1 bucket at most. Frankly, we don't need buckets. We can make this stuff. We've got wood. We know that this place has wood, and we also can. Well, I mean, we can guess at least that the previous place still has some of its kit lying around. It's only been a fortnight. The slight problem is it's probably also still full of zombies, so we may have to dig some new holes. No, that means they're made out of the tails of pigs. This being apparently, well, I can't even remember what rope's good for. Let's keep a couple of. Oh no, they're not made from the tails of pigs. Pigtail is a kind of plant. Yes, there's a small bat paying attention to my laptop. Thank you. Yes, that's unhelpful. Right. So that's got us back to 198 points. So now we should work out what our dwarves are going to be good for. So the question is, what abilities do I give them that will I can't remember what's good. So that actually allows me to change their names if I want to. I can inquire if I really want to inquire about all of what each of them likes and such like, but so I've given myself 2 miners because given we've got quite a lot of picks, how about we allocate lots of mining ability, and we're going to be getting most of our stuff inside, so we probably want some half decent carpenter, and do we get lots of medical abilities? Probably not, no. If we're actually interacting seriously with the undead, we're probably doomed anyway. I might give them
kind of quarantine.
Yeah, I might give them a hint of Axeman, or rather Axe Dwarf, to the other 2. Maybe worth. No, we've got quite a lot of wood kicking around anyway, so maybe we don't need that. I had a thought for something else that was worth having. Do we have Builder a useful ability? I don't think it is, no. So, yeah, we can't. Yes, building is an unskilled thing. We've got miners. Oh gods, I had a thought. What was it? Oh well. Farming, yes, because we're going to have to grow our food underground rather than hunting it, I think. As I recall, there is actually a farmer or planter or something ability, if I can just find it. It's making things, paper runner, bookworks, waxwork, mechanic, fisherman, miller, thresher, grower, yes.
It just struck me that the heading for this entire column of text ought to be "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor."
Mm-hmm.
So let's have a reasonably decent grower for planting things. We've still got quite a lot of points available, so let's give those last 2. Give that one. Just thinking about what's going to be needed.
Word-based skill levels. What have we got? Adequate, competent, dangerous, deadly.
Novice, adequate, competent, skilled, proficient, and I think I don't know that I can go beyond proficient. I think you've got master then, possibly a couple of others. We probably don't need an excellent gem setter at this stage.
But masters only become masters after they settle in their fortress and craft on their own.
Yeah, I think yes, I think you can't buy them. So I'm kind of going, well, let's get someone with woodcutter just because I'm not sure I don't know what I'm doing now. You've still got 104 points. Kind of wondering if I can upgrade my axes to steel. Actually, I think we should have... Let's get more booze, because booze takes a while to get. Plus it's pricey.
Drunk dwarf is a happy dwarf.
So...
I'm sure I'm getting this simple, which means you want to get rid of coins regularly.
Yes. They're also all essentially mandatorily alcoholic.
Well, I think this is largely true of Victorian explorers, so you know.
Yes.
Well, okay. Right, I'm just...
Actually, can we take it? That's not very helpful. Yeah, let's take... Now, we've got a woodcutter, so we can cut down a tree, which will get us any early wood that we need. But I was going... Yes, let's see if I can actually add... Oh. Am I really not allowed to bring furniture with me? Okay, that's entertaining. I'm apparently not allowed to bring furniture. Presumably because it's quite hard to, like, shift. I have no idea, probably some kind of fish. Yeah, some kind of fish. It's filed under fish.
It's also filed under meat. Oh no, okay, sorry.
Everything
Oh right,
you can
sorry, I
think
misunderstood the menu thing.
Hang on, were dingo's kidneys there? Hurrah!
Prepared giant dingo kidney
Yes.
and...
And indeed, ordinary dingo kidneys. Well, would you like me to bring some dingo's kidneys with me? Okay.
Unless you really think they're going to be useful.
They'll be edible. Right, we'll finish off using up our points on dingo's kidneys. Right. Okay, well, maybe this is a better build than I had before, maybe it's not. I have no idea. The only animal we're taking is the one that draws our our wagon. Got 4 wheels, it's a wagon, as anyone who follows Merle on Twitter knows. Right, let us embark.
That's quite justified.
Yes. Almost no supplies left, but with stout labour comes sustenance.
I like that it was being read out in a stilted tone of voice by someone who doesn't really know how to read text.
Well, I could do it, but...
You are expecting a supply caravan just to fall into New Zealand, but it is spring now. Anyway, I'll stop. That's kind of creepy.
So,
Surely it should be done in a ominous voice. Only time will tell whether you're about to be eaten by the zombies that you left behind last time you stayed.
well, there shouldn't be this long a delay here, but there is. We had this last time. I'm fairly sure this is normal.
Yeah, but much more powerful.
Yeah, the F number stopped flickering.
Yes. So where we are in relation to the last place is that our 3x3 embark area is precisely the same. So this should look fairly familiar. It's about a fortnight later than when the last people died, but things have probably changed a bit while we were away.
So this is... what's going on in this picture?
Right. Thank you, Verity. So yes, since Simon wasn't apparently watching the last one because he was probably walking home while it happened. So Dwarf Fortress is at heart a roguelike, in that the world is quantized in space and time, and we thus have a grid of characters which represent space. Dwarf Fortress is 3-dimensional, which means that I can pan the main... So the main map on the left is essentially a roguelike. and I can pan it up and down. So if I go up into the sky far enough, we just see the sky. If I go down into the earth far enough, we just see rock. There may be other things down there, but we can't actually tell, and it's kind of faking this a bit by filling in the...
Right, and this is like fog of war, it's only showing you things you've discovered.
Yes, kind of. Mostly it shows you everything that there is, but in particular there are surprises to be discovered under the earth.
Mostly lava.
Lava is one of the surprises, yes. Basically, we are not toff. We can't actually tell what's going on underground merely by standing on it. So this... so if I press K for show me what is under the cursor, you can now see there is a yellow X moving around. That's my cursor. And in the second from right panel is a description of what's underneath the cursor. So we have various... Yes, we have like dead grass, limestone pebbles, a wagon full of stuff, another wagon full of stuff. This I think is the wagon we arrived in. That's the wagon that our predecessors arrived in. So further north there is a stream, which if we go down a layer we actually see what's there, which has a stingray in it. So there's a hillside over on our left which is made out of earth, and inside that there is the fortress that the previous expedition dug, which has some beds in it, a few logs, and not a lot else. And there are some ponds, and some other creatures. So that capital W is a stray water buffalo, which probably drew our wagon here. The wagon is now broken and will never move again, incidentally. And there are some tree trunks. So these things are trees, or rather dead trees. In the first version of Dwarf Fortress I played, trees were single cell objects, and now they're much bigger and hairier.
They have quite a large canopy for them as well.
Yes, I mean, reasonably, these trees are a few metres tall.
Right, so the cubes of the world are kind of a metre-ish, or a couple of metres or something.
Maybe, I don't know officially, but a dwarf occupies most of a thing.
If that all remains, you not a centimetre or 1,000 metres.
Yes. They are approximately dwarf-sized. You can fit more than one dwarf in a hex. They're not hexagonal, in a square, but only if all but one of them is lying down. So if I hit U, I get a list of the creatures. So we have our dwarves. We have our two stray water buffaloes who drew the wagon. We have a lot of otters. We don't currently have anything dead, which is nice. And there are the dead bodies of a previous batch of dwarves. So those can plausibly come to life. Because this is a haunted area. So we probably want to work out where they are. The problem is that we can't actually ask where things are because we don't currently have sufficient bureaucracy to be able to track all of the body parts that are lying around, or all of the corpses, because there are too many of both of them, which is slightly worrying.
Stop, hammer dwarves.
Yes. So, on the other hand, it looks like there aren't actually any corpses in the old fortress. So I think we can bundle straight into the old fortress. There's a mitten and some logs and nothing on the top level. So I think most of the craft that the previous people brought with them are now lying around all over the place. So there, for instance, is a giant slug leather white mitten with a coating of blood from one of our predecessors. More alarmingly,
What's the thing on the right?
so that's an overview map. So if I scroll this map upwards, you can see that the X in that moves around to show where we are. I would usually, well, on my old laptop I would turn that off, but I've got such a big screen now that I don't really need to. So the worrying thing is that bright white squared symbol. Alright, that's only a tooth of a troll. Ooh, where did we get a troll from? Slightly worried about squared symbols because those are body parts which could plausibly come to life. But I don't think teeth can do that on their own because they're not really useful enough. So
Might the scattering of objects mean the dwarves are zombies already?
they would appear on the units list if they were. So I think if they are, they are not currently in the world. For the most part, things that are living in a broad sense and are on the map appear on the units list unless they are being particularly sneaky, and I don't think zombies are capable of sneak. So I'm right. So if we scroll over here, there is a dog skeleton. That's going to be dangerous. Let's unmark that for dumping. And that is a yak cow skeleton. So you'll notice that in the middle pane, this object is labelled with twiddly brackets around it. That indicates that it's marked as forbidden, which means that none of my dwarves will touch it. So this means that if I set up a stockpile, they won't immediately go round all over the map collecting up the objects that ought to go in that stockpile, because they consider these ones to belong to someone else. This is helpful at this stage because I probably want my dwarves to stack all of the stuff they brought with them into their stockpiles, but not to actually go all over the map fetching things where getting themselves into danger.
Squilly and dwarves are not much danger now.
Yes.
Danger behind that skeleton.
And I can kind of unforbid things that are lying around near my thing. So one question is, are there any doors around? Now, one of the irritating things about Dwarf Fortress... Oh, yes, right. So there's the old front door to the fortress. And... Why can I not zoom to that object, then? Because we know there's only one of it. That suggests... Yes. I can select it. I can't actually do anything with it. If I press tab, then there, yes. So there are two modes for the right hand side of this screen. One of them shows just the number of objects, and obviously I can't ask to zoom to 3 orange wood crutches because they might be in different places. The other mode lists the individual objects, which says that there are 3 peach wood crutches and 3 orange wood crutches, and the orange wood crutches are forbidden. And then I think then if I turn off caps lock, I can zoom to the individual crutches. So there's one of them, for instance, and I don't want to unforbid that one. So now if we go back to stocks and find that door, now that I can have remembered how the inventory works. So you'll notice also that a lot of the objects are labelled with round brackets. So if we look at those crutches, they're all labelled with round brackets. That means that they are not native. They were built overseas or built somewhere outside of this fortress and imported. So everything we've brought with us is imported. That door, on the other hand, is not imported because it was bought as part of the last... it was built as part of the last incarnation of this fortress. So... Okay, that says that the door is there, even though... Oh, right, the door is apparently installed, but open. So does that mean, if I can remember the key for it, I can ask about that door. Right, yes, the door is currently open, but since there's nothing in it, it will probably close immediately. Right, so we already have a door, so I think that means we can start piling people and stuff into the fortress as our first move, and then start worrying about what we do next. So I think... Alright, so the pasture is still already present, and there isn't anything in the fortress that will come back to life, so I think we start by creating a stockpile like we did last time. That will just occupy most of this area, and will take essentially everything except for corpses, which are a really bad idea to keep, and refuse. Just going to, is there anything else let's just turn everything on and then see what embarrassments that brings. So we...
Sheet is a strange heading.
Yes. Well, it's for anything flat.
Yes, you just expect it to be a count now and therefore plural. But
It's the category in like DIY shops and something such like sheet materials. Anyway, right. So that will then be a stockpile of all of the stuff we've got. So let's try allowing time to pass and seeing how unhappy that makes us. So everyone now picks stuff up. Right. Hang on. Pause. Right, now we've got a problem. It turns out that they were there. They were just the dwarves simply were, or at least one of them, were actually quite good at hiding. Right.
one of the corpses is undead.
They're still dead.
There was a thing over there. Yeah.
Yes. So, Likot Shukarkatan's corpse.
Right, so Likot Shukarkatan there is
Died in our last thing. This merely indicates, though, that he has died and doesn't actually keep track of his body.
right.
He is now essentially a new person.
But now we found his body.
Cellar nosing. His corpse has got its own name because it's so terrifying. And yes, and it's hiding in there. So, and the monitor lizard's here as well. That caused quite a lot of trouble last time. Right. So I still think that inside is a safe place to be. So what I'm going to do is, right, we already have the burrow configured for inside the fortress, so we can instruct, and indeed we already have the that saves a lot of setting up. So we can now say, oh, don't worry about whatever you thought you were doing, everyone just get inside the fortress. And I think I'm going to single step this. And watch. So, where? Oh yes, where is that monitor lizard corpse? Right, that's way out of the way. So here we can see, incidentally, we've gone up the hill to the southwest. So that's the main level, the plain. So here we have an unhappy corpse and another one, curiously shown by different characters. But and down in the right in the bottom left corner of the screen is that undead monitor lizard. So I think what we're doing now is we're desperately trying to get inside and not really worrying about anything else. So far no one is actually standing next to that undead person, but it didn't last. Yes, I'm sure you're horrified. unfortunately, if you don't get indoors, this may not go well for you. So essentially, my expectation here is that I probably won't get all 7 dwarves inside. Yes. One possibility, actually, is one of them gets in and brings the undead one with it, and I lock them in there together, because then we've only got the monitor lizard, and it's quite a long way away. Yes. But more importantly, you're trapped in, and all the rest of us are outside, and that's much better than the other way round, because we've got the stuff out here. But right now, the undead dwarf is outside. Of course, the worst case is that we end up with half of the dwarves inside and half of the dwarves outside. Right, so it currently seems to be following people in. Right, that doesn't look good. Seem to have fallen over, but not for any obvious reason. So the brown background of my woodcutter there indicates that they have fallen over or are otherwise not standing on their own 2 feet. The alternating with... Yes. I might be able to work out how to switch to using a scalable bedstead for this. Yes. And it's alternating with an blue exclamation mark, which I can only barely see, so I probably want a different colour palette as well, which I think indicates something like terrified. She is terrified, horrified by being attacked by the dead, uneasy after seeing someone's dead body, but really compared to being attacked by it, that's not a problem. Is vengeful because people are attacking her friends. So I think if I go, hang on, VW and select her, so she is moderately injured. So yes, she does have a broken foot, which is probably not going to help.
I thought so, yes. Okay.
No, don't come back out. Oh, hang on, I may need to adjust the burrow specifications a bit. Let us make sure that the entrance, that doorway is definitely not part of the burrow. So that tells the dwarves that no, don't go out again. Hmm? Hang on, no, that was the wrong button. The alternating at N tilde. So N tilde is a character indicating undead or ghostly or such like. Whether dwarves are represented as at or smiley face seems... I think the distinction is something like smiley face is a dwarf who's a member of your settlement. At is a dwarf who is not a member of your settlement. But I'm not quite sure. You guys stop going towards it. Look, you are all not part of the military. You should all be heading indoors. You don't stand a chance. See, you're getting injured now because you're not doing the sensible thing and getting indoors. I can convert these dwarfs into soldiers, but that really won't help, because at that point they'll start attacking, and what I want them to do is not to attack, because attacking will just lead to unhappiness. What will not lead to unhappiness? At this rate, the only person behaving sensibly here is a sodding water buffalo. What? What's that? Oh, well, I don't think I care much about ghosts, to be honest. Ghosts are not a problem. Yes, because of course the previous batch of dwarves have not yet been buried or memorialised or anything, and burying them is going to be quite a dangerous activity. They are also now haunting us. So our others now include a ghost, which is white N tilde as opposed to the blue N tilde of the risen dead. But the ghost is less of a problem.
Being a ghost.
Thank you.
You can't really hear him being a ghost because he's doing it very quietly.
Right. Well, we have some progress. The water buffalo is indoors, because the water buffalo has some sense of self-preservation, unlike everybody else here. The water buffalo is indoors and uninjured. Meanwhile, everyone else is going, oh, but I could get into a fight. No. Okay, the water buffalo is now faffing. Right, we have a dwarf indoors. Briefly. Right, I'm going to be lucky if I can get one dwarf to survive this at this rate. You're all round near the entrance now, well, apart from the badly injured one. I may try making the burrow just the lower level, on the grounds that might encourage them downwards. I don't think it should be necessary, but let's tell them that they're not actually allowed to sit around in the upper level. Oops. Right. So now that I'm actually insisting they go indoors and downstairs, that of course means they can't store anything in stockpiles. That's fine. Now, are you actually going to move? Do I need to give you all jobs downstairs just in order to get you to go there? No, one in. Keep careful track of where... I really need you not to be lying down in the doorway. 2 in. 3 in. 4 in. Okay, yes. Defining the burrow in... Yes, we know there's a ghostly woodcutter who's ridden and is haunting the fortress. Haunting is the least of our problems. I am single-stepping all of this so that I don't lose track of where everyone is. Yeah. Well, you can see they're moving at a step of about 1 every 5 or so time steps, I think. Right, we do have a slight problem here, which is that someone is lying down in the doorway. So what I'm going to do first is to unforbid that pile of wood and then say, can I just build a wall out of it? I can if I want to, right. So what I'm thinking of here is if I can't get that door closed, then I can wall off the staircase down here. So I'm going to have to be a bit careful about this, but let's first just keep everyone out of the staircase. Wall off the staircase from below using one piece of wood which I already have inside the fortress. This is not exactly going to be the best start to a game, having no equipment and one piece of wood whose sole purpose is to wall us in. But yes. So unfortunately the zombie is now in the entrance corridor and moving towards us, and we can't close that door because someone is injured enough that they've fallen over in the doorway, thus blocking us from locking the door. So our best hope is either that they manage to move or that people actually go down the stairs and we wall them in. Right, all being well, the zombie is now distracted by killing someone. Sadly, one of my dwarves has been distracted as well. No, by getting into a fight. Our miner is sadly, I think one of our miners is sadly, so in the doorway now we have our expedition leader and another miner who are causing trouble. If I hit V, one of them, so Monon Sling Worker, no he's not, so who have we got in that square? Rock's Tomb has been generally somewhat beaten up and is yes, and he's the one I think who's fallen over in the doorway, and Sibrek Squid Paper is our Squid Paper. Gongith not Monom, who is the expedition leader, has joined them in the doorway fighting the zombie, which is like nice and self-sacrificing and so forth if we can get everyone else indoors. So I think I'm now going to start building that wall because I am scared, and if we're lucky everyone will be able to get in before it's built, and if we're also lucky it will be able to get built before the zombie gets there. So somewhere no one has yet taken up the job of building that wall. We have 3 dwarves outside, which is more than I would like, but the zombie is now in the doorway. Still no one considers it their job to build that wall. Do I need to tell... I don't think I need to tell them that they can build walls. Building walls is usually something that everyone can do. Wall floor construction is in everyone's... is a default thing that everyone is enabled to do. So I think someone should pick that job up in due course. Let's just check. So that job involves using... What? No, it involves... that job is to build a wall with desert lime wood logs. Hang on, no. And the desert lime wood logs it's building that wall, yes. And those are desert lime wood logs, and they're the only unforbidden logs in the world. Yes, so I have set it all up. Oh! Expand the burrow. Currently no one is allowed to enter the square that the wall is in, because I wanted to keep them out of the staircase. No, not add citizen. So I want to edit the burrow to permit. Burrows are quite an advanced bit of Dwarf Fortress, but they're kind of critical for herding dwarves out of places when you don't just need them to... hang on, are painting, right. So now say dwarves are allowed in the square that the thing is meant to be in. So now my hope is that someone will be able to pick up that job. Go on. Right, we don't have much time. Yes, right. Someone considers it their job to do it. Sadly, it's the expedition leader who is currently in the wrong place. My expedition leader is up here. Right, that's not going to work. Right. I can. Right, so you should be forbidden from building walls. All being well, that'll cause you to abandon the job. Okay, you haven't. I know of a way to force abandoning a job, which is to forbid and then unforbid the object in question. And I think that object should now be reassigned. Oh dear. Actually, a better way to abandon a job, since I'm far from certain I've got this right, is to remove that and then rebuild it. This is not going well. Okay, so if this is not going well, what can we do to solve the problem, to make it go better? Like, is there a way that I can save this, taking advantage of the fact that... No, that's not going to help, Ben. Yes, I can flood the fortress. The undead don't breathe. But, is there something else I can do to get us into a less disastrous situation? Like, can we dig our way out of this problem? So, like, can we destroy that staircase, actually? Anyone who's at the top of this staircase... Oh, no, that's not the right one then, is it? Remove. Remove upward stairs and ramps. Let's just make it somebody's job to try to clear that away, because that will might make it impossible for the thing to come down the stairs. I don't honestly think it will. I suspect it can still clamber down there by some means, but no one currently considers it their job to build a wall again. Oh, actually I need to expand the burrow again, don't I? To permit access to the staircase, so as to remove it. Okay. Right, at least someone thinks it's their job to remove the stairs. If we're lucky, it's someone who's actually downstairs. Someone is trying to build a wall. There's a slight problem that there's someone in the way clearing the stairs. That's fine. They finished that. They're going to be on the wrong side of the wall. Tough. Oh! Our zombie is leaving. I think our injured dwarf is drawing them off.
If only you hadn't just destroyed the stairs, you could go up there and close the door.
No, curiously, doors are automatic. I can close doors. I don't actually need a dwarf to be able to get to the door. Also, I haven't destroyed the stairs. There are 2 sets of stairs. Still, belt and braces, I'm still destroying the stairs, and I'm building the wall, and I'm locking that door. Right. So, that door... All I've actually done is forbidden dwarves to go through it, but apparently that... but in versions of Dwarf Fortress I've played, that also stops monsters going through it. Now, maybe it doesn't in this version, so, again, belt and braces. Right, we've removed the stairs. There is actually no one in our upstairs area. There's one dwarf. Well, I think there was one dwarf. We still have 7 citizens for now. No, I mean, there's one dwarf who is outside the fortress somewhere. There, in fact, is running away up the hill. Well, or rather, crawling away up the hill. I'm afraid you may be the sacrificial dwarf. Yes, I mean, I might give you some work to do out there. So I think actually I should now unpause and let that... Right, that wall's now built. So now I can not insist that everyone stay indoors, because they're mechanically forced to stay indoors by the fact that there's a wall in the way, which then means that the one person who's still alive could probably be persuaded to... I mean, it's a bit brave, and he's not going to be in very good condition. Is there somewhere we can have him make himself a little hole? Let's have him dig himself a hole, or herself. Check the gender of dwarves before saying things like that about them. So yes, she is a miner, so she probably has a pick. I think I gave all my miners picks. I gave almost everyone picks. So she can probably dig herself a hole. Meanwhile, what can my dwarves do? There's not much down here. There's a water buffalo, 6 dwarves, and a few beds. The water buffalo survived for now. May get butchered later for food because we have no food. So I'm kind of inclined to say we start digging down, because like rock is going to be a useful thing to have and loam isn't. So in the absence of better plans, let's construct a new staircase which won't be coaxial with the old one. There's a reasonable distance away so I can put multiple doors around it. And goes down, say, 20 levels. And let's see what we find down there. Sorry, I'm going back to a IRC and catching up on everything that's happened. So yes, we have resources to dig. Digging is something we can totally do. So working out how we want to dig is the because if that zombie stays reasonably still, we may now be able to like burrow over to where our stuff is, where the in the wagon that we just arrived in. Or the other one. The other one's got quite a bit of stuff in it, and retrieve the stuff hurriedly. So maybe as a kind of thing to do, we should thus dig a tunnel to there, and to there. Oops, no, not like that. Actually, that did work. I've asked them to clear the surface as well. I should probably, but that won't be a problem because you can't mine the surface. Right. And then we might be able to see if we can come up with some way to get things from there. So my miners are now digging. This miner is so unwell, I don't think they're going. Oops. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything much. Indeed, when I say unwell, I think I may mean dead. Yes. Oh no! What's going on there? There's a corpse and. What's going on in that square? So there is just a person and a pile of vomit and some blood, and anything that you may see flashing in there is a figment of your own imagination. Rakust is still alive, but she hasn't yet decided that she's actually going to do any work, possibly because she's kind of very, very, very ill. She's overexerted, nauseous. Has broken both of her elbows. That may rather limit her ability to dig.
Yeah, that sounds very ambiguous.
So yes, her left hand is cut open. Her
liver is bruised.
Yes. It looks like her right left hand is broken. Left hand is smashed open. Yes. So, like, I'm not entirely sure she should be unable to dig, but it's possible that she can't dig now.
Probably at least unhappy.
Well, I mean, she is overexerted and nauseous as well, so. Yeah, so it's possible the reason she isn't desperately digging herself a hole to hide in is that she's actually physically incapable of it.
But then if she does get a hole to hide in, you come after her and dig a tunnel to where she is.
That's certainly a possibility, yes. I mean, I think I might want to try to work out how to wall her in, but... Right. So what's going on here... is that my dwarves are a bit worried that they found some damp sand, which is the kind of thing that suggests the presence of an aquifer. I don't remember there being an aquifer here. But that would make digging much deeper a bit dangerous, though it's reasonably safe to dig into an aquifer from above. What I might do... So there's damp sand there. I think it's safe actually to allow all of that to get cancelled and then say, no, actually do dig into this and let's confirm that it's an aquifer. And actually, in the new version of Dwarf Fortress, aquifers are not as terrifying as they used to be, in that they don't flood near instantaneously. So, like, it might, if we had any building resources, be feasible to get through the aquifer. She's still unwell, but still not actually being slaughtered, I don't think. Or is she? Yeah, that doesn't look good for her, does it? I think it's just... so it's here, and she is a little way up the hill here. So she's actually one square up and one square north. Which is close enough to attack. So even though it's quite hard to tell that they're adjacent, I think they are practically adjacent, and thus she is just busy getting killed. Yes, I'm slightly worried now. If aquifers are not as fast as they used to be, I'm slightly worried that we might be able to dig down deep and then find ourselves in a flooded staircase, rather than digging one layer down and going, oh, it's completely flooded, well, we can't go any deeper. Because dwarves do have some sense of self-preservation. If they're drowning, they will attempt to escape. And if they're drowning on a staircase they've just built, escaping is not very hard. Well, let's... So we now have damp limestone down here. But we have limestone, that's quite nice. And we don't yet have any water accruing. Water. Or rather mud. But we now have a small amount of water at the next level down. Right. So that's going to cancel. So you can see on this level we have 1 of 7 water. So because we've got some pretty decent miners, yes, I might, as I said, I might need to try to fix my colours. On the right there it says Stukos Desisrith Miner, muddy limestone up down stair, water brackets 1 of 7 and a dusting of mud. So essentially the water is flowing in on this level, and flowing down the staircase as we carve it. So this is liable to flood anything we dig down here unless we can find a way to drain it or pump it out or wall off the aquifer. But we don't have any building materials except for that one bit of log that we built that wall with upstairs, which we might be able to safely remove if we trust that door, but I don't think I'm going to trust the door yet. So let's unpause for a bit and allow them to clear that level and see what that does. And then we'll see how the flooding goes. I think they've stopped digging now, so we may have to do a bit of... So this... Oh no, they've gone down another level, right? Yes, see, this is what scares me. Because they've got designated digging a long way down, we're now kind of digging downwards and hoping things don't flood too badly. Which we might get away with, and maybe we'll burst through into the caverns and have somewhere to drain this lot to. I suppose that's the thing to do, just keep digging down until you find a cave. The cave could turn out to have a forgotten beast in it, for instance. Okay, let's just allow them to keep digging down and see how badly wrong this goes. Because we need something to build things from. Stone will do the job. I mean, basically the only other thing we really need is an anvil. We've got an anvil upstairs, yes. It's in the wagon, and so, for instance, I probably want to build some doors first, so that I can put a door and then probably a wall in this corridor that I'm digging. As soon as we've got anything in from the wagon. So we still only have 1 of 7 water down here, which is kind of cheering. I think we may not have much water coming in. So this is giving me some hope. And like, we've got rock down there. So actually what I think I'm going to do now is make a rock stockpile up here.
Rock stock and 2 smoking coals.
Yes, so that those dwarves who aren't actively digging the staircase downwards can be hauling the stone that we've dug upwards, so that if the staircase does flood, we won't lose all that nice rock that we've dug out. Because as we mine downwards, we're producing we have a 1 in 10 or so probability of producing a unit of rock for each staircase we cut out. There is a slight question of where does all the rest of the rock go? We're digging through solid limestone here.
We're in a world where water is replenished, not freezing and thawing.
Yes. Like, it really should be that we have a major spoil disposal problem in this fortress. Because we're all sealed indoors. But somehow spoil disposal is not something that Dwarf Fortress simulates yet. Yes, Pink Beast, precisely. Probably won't be full of bastards, but it may contain a forgotten beast. So yes, I wanted to make a... Let's just make a small stone stockpile up here, because frankly we don't have any other use for this space. So that's now an area marked as stone stockpile number 2, because stockpile number 1 is that one upstairs, which we're currently not able to get to because someone has walled off the staircase and destroyed the staircase, just for good measure, and forbidden the dwarves from going up the... Oh no, I turned that off.
Oh, hang on, I've worked it out. You've destroyed the staircase into the basement. Now you have to build a filing cabinet in a disused lavatory.
Something like that, yes. So now this will help. This will mean that some dwarves will consider it to be their job to dig deeper, and other dwarves will consider it to be their job to haul the stones up. So now if we look at what people are doing, some people are storing items in stockpiles, some people are carving up down staircases, 2 people are not doing anything, one of whom is almost dead. Yeah, how are you feeling then? Slightly bruised, but that's it. Someone smashed your left ear, apparently. That square has ended up not designated here. Do your staircase there through there as well. Yes, I have a habit of making my staircases 2x2 squares because that makes it easier for people to pass one another on the stairs. Otherwise, given the only one dwarf is allowed to be standing up in any given square rule, if you've got one dwarf coming up and the other and another one going down, one of them has to lie down temporarily in order to be able to pass. And that's
Do they work this out?
yes, they do, but it slows them down. Whereas if there are four, if there's a larger staircase, they can path past each other fairly easily. Generally, it just makes the pathfinding easier. It does, of course, mean that it takes more effort to carve them and more effort to block them later. So how deep's the water at the bottom of the staircase at the moment? Still only 1 of 7. And we're now down into diorite rather than limestone, which I think is igneous. Ooh, what's this? And now into phyllite. And we keep striking gems, and I'm like, I don't care about gems.
Does the zombie care about things?
Doubt it.
Worth a
Yeah, the otters have been got to by the undead.
try. I'm going also.
Not yet, but they will be. So it's taking that miner a long time to die. Oh, we've got some cobaltite. Cobalt is not exactly the most useful of minerals. Like, I mean, I don't think Dwarf Fortress even allows for making blue glass with it, which obviously it should. Now, I did at least make sure I had some competent miners, so we're going down pretty fast. Gabbro. Still only 1 unit of water at the bottom of the stairs. It's a kind of rock. Gareth is wittering about Gabbro now. Granite, you've heard of granite. Yeah, it's probably the kind of thing you make the Scottish mountains out of.
I often do. That's why you draw fortress, you do make the mountains.
So we've got some microcline. I don't know why microcline is considered exciting, except that it's the same colour as adamantine. No. So there is a kind of running joke, at least on the Dwarf Fortress wiki, about how microcline is the thing that everyone is digging for. And adamantine is this strange stuff that looks a bit like microcline. Because they're both bright cyan. What's our water level looking like now? Still 1 of 7. I mean, I think if there is an aquifer, it's not a seriously dangerous one. But like, on the other hand, I don't see any reason not to just go down, 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 down. Oh, bum! We've hit the caverns. Oh yes, if you're really paying attention, the right-hand edge of... Oh, we've stopped digging. The right-hand edge of the screen is a kind of scroll bar. Is it a scroll? No. Yes, showing us how deep we are in the world. So that's the surface, and we're above the surface now, and now we're below the surface. And the numbers show how far below the surface, or possibly our starting level, some definition of the surface we are. And the other number, I think, shows us how far above some reference level we are, though I don't know that it's actually the bottom of the world.
I just looked up microcline on Wikipedia. Wikipedia mentions in 2008 It was the subject of a scientific opinion on the panel of food additives from the EFSA. It conspicuously doesn't say what the opinion turned out to be.
Yes, Jacob asks, do tunnels randomly collapse for no reasons, or are dwarves just really awesome at robustifying their excavations? Dwarves are awesome. Tunnels collapse because idiot players don't arrange that things are supported at all. But I think the physics model at the moment is such that as long as something is rigidly connected to the ground, it's supported and won't fall. So it doesn't have to be rigidly connected by anything very thick. So yes, in particular, we can. A staircase can be self-supporting. There's no need for us to pay much attention to how we support it. Plus, like, we're mostly digging through fairly solid rock here. Right, so I think I'm going to keep going down. I think the stone at the bottom of our... actually, no. I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going to have a little sideways bit. I'm going to carve an up stair. Yes, NetHack players will note that we have the same symbols for up and down stairs as NetHack, but we have also have up and down stairs, so you can build vertical staircases. I'm going to build some upstairs, a short bit of horizontal corridor, and then start going down again here. The point of that being that a horizontal corridor is somewhere where we can put doors and such like. And actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make those a bit more up-down stair into some upstair here to form a sump, so that the incoming water can then collect in the sump. And we can see if there's a lot of it, and if there is, then we can work out a way of draining it. But like, if we make the sump reasonably big, let's make it another square wide in each direction, or indeed two in one direction. Yeah, okay, now that all my symmetry's gone to pot. If I do this, will it remove the staircase? Yes, that's not very helpful. So that will give us a sump that we can collect water in, and then we can see if there's enough of it that we need to worry about it. And meanwhile, we can keep digging down, and see what else we find. I mean, like, we don't actually need to go down a lot further, except that we don't know quite how much water is flowing in. So I think there's only water coming in on that one level. So that's the only one where the walls are wet. Oh no, there's that level as well. Okay, we've got two levels with wet walls. That means they're probably seeping, which means we might be able to wall it off with enough stone. Okay, that's a plan then. So we've got up here a reasonable collection of rock now. So let's start building ourselves a room that we can build. We can put workshops in. Let's run that off to a different side of the main staircase. Usually my fortresses seem to end up with like one central staircase, and everything ends up being built off that. Yes. So let's build a largish room there. We can dig very quickly through the sandy soil up near the surface, and then I'll stick a stonemason's workshop in there in order that we can... Oh, actually, one thing I should do... Yes, indeed. Start turning this stone into good things, like blocks we can use to wall off the aquifer so that we stop flooding. So what I will do, though, one thing that is a fairly new feature is being able to prioritise different bits of digging. So what I'm going to do is to say you should prioritise the things that are necessary to make the sump work.
At this point, start prioritising going to sleep. Sleep is good.
Because I don't want you digging out the space for the for anything else until we've got the sump useful. Because otherwise, you're not going to be able to get in there. What's the water level like at the moment? We're now up to 2 of 7 water down there. Dwarves can, I think, work in up to about 3 of 7. So I hope that a dwarf will be able to come down here and quickly start digging out more. Of course, as soon as they've dug one hole in the floor, all the water will flow into that, and then they can dig the adjacent ones safely. Right, so we now have one miner who is carving out the sump. And my hope is that that can hold water. 2 miners carving out the sump, I think. Yes. That will then be able to store enough water that we can wall off the aquifer. So I think that means that we want to also make some space for the aquifer. Make some space for the walls around the aquifer, rather. Hang on. Has the aquifer dried up? Oh, it's that level. Oh, I think it only highlights as damp when we're digging it. So, when we're in... Yes. So, yes. I think we carve that out later, because when we carve out the space to wall off the aquifer, that's going to increase the flow rate temporarily. So I think that wants... Oh God, no, I don't want you to dig it all as upstairs. That's just silly. Remove. Don't remove all the stairs, though. That would be embarrassing. Yeah, I could do that at some point. I kind of want to get... Like, we can do without... Well, I suppose we're going to need some food, aren't we? Should we... Let's set that to dig out now. Let's just remove designation and then redesignate all of that area, because
Right, good night.
bye bye. Prioritise digging that out. I think the sump's bigger than we need, but... bigger than we need is better than smaller than we need. So that will be cleared soon. It has a large number of embarrassing staircases in there, which I will now attempt to tag for removal. Yeah, I mean, everyone is probably getting a bit hungry, so actually that's the thing we should start sorting out, isn't it? Because so let's see what's going on the surface. So yes, there's a bunch of undead kicking around up there. So I think my plan as far as getting the stuff in from the surface goes is probably going to involve a lot of extra. So let's see. Yes, we want to clear out. We want to get ourselves the ability to make things, which means digging out the workshop area, which means we want the working sump. But it only has to be working to the extent that it won't flood too quickly, which it now is. And you can see there's water slowly flowing into it. That does mean I actually want to prioritise the workshop area rather than the onward-downward staircase. So let's do that. We want everyone working on that. Because then don't actually have anyone who is notionally a stoneworker, but let's give our woodcutter. No, that's not what I want. Let us enable all stoneworking things on our woodcutter, and they'll become a decent woodcutter in due course, a decent stoneworker in due course. So we are discovering the roots of the various trees. This is not a serious issue. Yes, I'm sure she has been missing for a week. That's because she's been killed. So now we've got some space. Let us build a mason's workshop so that we can start making things out of stone. Actually, let's get a bit more space. Because I'd like to put it close to the entrance. I suppose it doesn't matter which side of the entrance it is, does it? And build it out of some nearby stone. Oh gods, what now? You've zoomed to somewhere. Doesn't look terribly exciting. You accidentally dug into something. You zoomed to a long way below ground level as well. Well, there isn't anything here that I can see. I mean, there's a bunch of things kicking around, but none that I can obviously see any worry about. Right. In particular, it's been a while since anyone in my... Oops, I didn't mean to hit save game. Embarrassing. Oh well, then we a short delay while I accidentally save the entire game and reload it because I'm a stoat. Let's go and see what IRC is saying. Yes, the red C on the left is the message that says there is a combat report waiting for you. Right, continue. Where were we? Still loading apparently. No. Right. But no, the ambush is not anywhere we can see. I should assign a hotkey to getting us to see the surface. So what is there in this square where my person died? I observed no corpse of Rakust rock tombs. Actually, we may as well cancel the request for Rakos to dig herself a grave. Well, not really a grave, a little tunnel. So, oh yes, is there someone who thinks they're building that building? Yes, good. So, my woodcutter is now lugging some stone across the map to the new workshop. So yeah, the combat reports are all just Laura Zolka's left hand attacks the river otter. Basically, there's all sorts of excitement going on the surface. Right, so we've cleared out a lot of space there. We are building a stonemason's workshop in which we can then build some doors which we can then use to be able to close off the corridors that are heading out towards the wagons, and then we can start thinking about fetching things in from the wagons, is I think the plan. If we're lucky, no one will starve to death in the meantime. Meanwhile, they're digging. So the amount of water in the sump is negligible, so that's nice. Like that sump is going to take a year's worth of water if it has to. I think that actually means we can deprioritise. I don't know why you're showing me these random places underground. I mean, we have got a lot of entertaining undead things kicking around, but right, so now we have a stonemason's workshop. Let us make some doors. So what I should actually do is set up a small stone stockpile around the mason's workshop. No, that's an animal stockpile, you idiot. A small stone stockpile around the mason's workshop. And say that, how do we do this? That stone from that workshop should go to the mason's work. From that stockpile should go to the mason's workshop, preferentially. So that will then mean that the mason doesn't have to trudge all the way across the upper floor. Ooh! You've discovered the caverns. Right, well that's somewhere we need to put some doors in then, isn't it? So we have found... Right, actually our sump is on a level with the caverns. If I dig a small hole through the wall, it can just drain into the caverns. And the caverns go down quite a long way. We can't see all of the caverns yet. and there are, in the depths of the caverns, a bunch of fungi which grow down there, fungi wood and tower caps, and other things which can be used as building materials, and also all sorts of entertaining minerals. We have some slate and some orthoclase and some galena, which means we can get lead. That's not the most useful metal in the world. And some tanzanite and some more galena. You know, like I was hoping for something a bit more better able to hold an edge. Interesting gems down here, but right now gems are, I think, not really what we need. And like cave moss and floor fungus and such like. So, I think we should thus probably cancel those designations for now. Clearly didn't get that right. Designate, remove. So when I'm marking areas, I essentially choose points at the corners of a cuboid in order to mark out an area. So there I've unmarked a 2x2 by quite a lot of floors thing. What I think I'm going to do for now is to say, let's just wall off the caverns again, using that, hang on, using the piece of stone that's right next to there, but I have to be a bit, problem is I think that piece of stone has become assigned to a job, namely hauling it upstairs, yes. So if we forbid it and unforbid it, then it will become detached from that job. And then, build a wall here using that immediately adjacent stone. So that will disconnect the caverns again, which is probably for the best just now. We know that they're there. Oops. We know that they're there, and thus, in particular, we can drain the sump into them, and we don't really need to worry then about the aquifer at all. But frankly, given the rate at which the water is coming in, we probably don't need to worry about the aquifer in any halfway serious timescale anyway, like if it even exists. Right, so that will wall off those. There's someone doing the walling. So meanwhile, 17 floors up, we're making some doors so that we can safely go out. Well, safely. We can slightly with less danger of destroying the entire fortress. So you can see now that in this thing there is an active job to construct one rock door. It's going to be a bit slow because the guy doing it has never, or woman doing it, dwarf doing it, has never tried this before. And she dreams of mastering a skill. It's going to take a little while. Meanwhile, okay, we do nominally have a little hospital there, but no one, I think, is sufficiently injured to need it. So now people are hauling rocks up to put in the stockpile right next to the thing. Ooh. There is an undead alligator kicking around. Well, that's nice. So, are there any other workshops we need? Yes. We would like to deal with this haunting problem, but we can't actually bury anyone because that would be really dangerous. Like, going out there and deliberately moving corpses around just seems, like a really bad idea. Actually, we're going to have to deal with the fact that some of our dwarves are going to die eventually anyway. But let's not worry about that for now. So, but what we can do is we can memorialise them. So, to do that, I think I need a crafts dwarf's workshop, or can I do that in a mason's workshop? Right, yes, construct a rock slab. Yeah, let's add a couple of slabs so we can at least deal with that ghost we've got. Right, you can now see that the yellow dwarf there has picked up a lump of stone from right next to the workshop and thus didn't have to walk so far carrying it. So what that means, though, is that I have a door. So let's start by sticking a door at the end of that corridor. And then I'm probably going to want some more doors, as it were, because we don't want to be in the situation where someone dropping an object blocking one door means that anything can get into our fortress. So I'm going to scatter doors along that corridor. In the hope that we can keep them out. Yes, so as Pinky suggests, can't you make memorials? That's what I plan to do. That's why we need a craft dwarf's workshop. We need somewhere where we can carve the memorials onto the slabs. So, yes, let's build one of those. Except I don't think we have a craft dwarf, so I'll have to pick someone who can do that job. So let's stick a craft dwarf's workshop here. For now, build it out of raw gabbro. But then we need to pick someone to give that kind of job to. Let's make it our carpenter. No. Just do all the crafts. I'm sure it'll be fine. I should probably remember how to set a shortcut for getting back to the main fortress, shouldn't I? Hotkeys. So let's have F2 be zoom to there, name workshops. And then we'll make F3 be zoom to the caverns. Specifically to roughly our access point to the caverns. Right. Actually, I didn't actually set it to there. I just named it. Right. Zoom to there. You can also set hotkeys for dwarves and locations and buildings and such like. So everyone's hauling things up and no one's building that blooming door. Too many escapes. Right, there we are. Everyone is thirsty because we have no booze. Right. There is a hint of water downstairs. Everyone, of course, has become thirsty simultaneously. Well, if you install that door, I might start thinking about getting some stuff in. Thank you. I mean, we could try draining one of those. Pools, but they've only got stagnant water in, which is not very helpful. Now let's try to get the booze in from outside. Right, so we've got... Is that door actually installed then? Yes. Put another door there. And indeed another door. There. I think once those doors are installed, I'm going to, given that everyone's getting thirsty, I'm going to be brave and start getting things in from outside. So yes, the little blue down arrows that are flashing on everyone's faces indicate that they're thirsty. And light also. Thirsty. So we're going to deal with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can actually insist that people... You can set traffic areas to divert, to tell dwarves to avoid particular places, but that mostly just affects their route finding, and the thing about doors is that people do actually have to go through them. So, yeah, I've just realised a slightly silly thing, which is I'm going to have to dig a bit further in order to be able to go up. So, there's nothing undead very close to us here. So I think what I want to do is to designate a food stockpile, which will be a temporary food stockpile here. Set up enlarge my indoor burrow a bit. So, I mean, ideally it would be like it would cover the entire world below the surface. Actually, let's not include that corridor in it though. If we're trying to clear out, if we're trying to get people indoors, they should not be in the corridor, but they are allowed to be on the stairs, because it would be silly to have them to insist that they all come up the stairs. That didn't work. Can I not? Oh, well, I'm in erasing mode. Straight. So if I tell the dwarves to come inside, they're still allowed all of that space as well, if they want it. But probably not actually to enter the caverns. Not that they physically can at the moment, but one day they'll be able to. So that now means if I tell them all to come inside, they will clear the corridor, but not much further. Right, so then we want to dig I would dig an upward staircase there, but unfortunately we can't actually dig up because someone's cleared out the entire square. So instead, let us go dig sideways to there, up staircase there. I can't remember if that automatically constructs a down staircase on the next level up. I don't think it does. I think I then need to dig a down staircase there. So then the hope is that then dwarves can come out of that door, grab stuff and bring it indoors. And that will be kind of safe. So we have a stockpile. I think everything outside that, any food outside that isn't on our wagon should be forbidden, so no one should be going very far. And we've got like 3 doors that I can lock, and quite a lot of stone kicking around that we can use to build walls if it turns out that locked doors don't keep the undead out. And I'm pausing repeatedly with a good deal of trepidation. Right, so everyone is now, oh gods, everyone is going, must drink booze, and running up to the surface where there is some booze. Well, we'll see how terribly that goes, won't we? Yes, maybe I should have done this before everyone became thirsty. Right, can we fix that in any way? I don't think we can really tell dwarves don't drink. At best we can summon them back inside if the undead start getting close. And several people want to store items in stockpiles, so like, maybe we won't lose many dwarves in this incident. Okay, you've been terrified off by a cat skeleton, have you? Right, that's too close for comfort. I'm going to say none of you go out there and try to fetch anything just yet. Meanwhile, lock that door. And dig us some more access routes. Yeah, I think we may have lost another dwarf to a cat skeleton. So we're getting a load of messages saying so I think I need a better plan for a water supply. This is where new Dwarf Fortress, not very difficult aquifers might even be a problem. Maybe we can deliberately dig ourselves, because like 1 of 7 water everywhere is not really enough to like be drinkable. Where did that rum come from? Why have we got dwarven rum down there? I don't think we should have any. Oh well. Right, so we can get water from the pools. And we're going to have a food problem shortly. So that means I think we need to start actually making efforts at getting food production. So let's try. How do you designate farm? I've forgotten how you do farming. Farm plot. Let's just make a small. That really wasn't the size of farm plot. I mean, I know I said small, but the problem is we don't, of course, have any. We don't have any seeds. Even though I can make a farm plot, I'm not sure that I can actually plant anything in it, because all the seeds are up on the surface. Still, let's do what we can. So, I think another item it would be useful to have are some grates. So this might be a bit brave, but a possibility is to see if we can work out a way to let some water in from the murky pools above, or even from the river. But like that's a bit dangerous because the river's full of, you know, creatures, stingrays. Maybe we could dig some kind of reservoir filled from the river. The annoying thing is, do we have it? Ooh! The river flows through the hills here, which gives us a bit of, like, headroom. Because the problem is that if we flood something from the river, it'll flood up to the surface of the river, which is the highest level we can dig to from over most of the fortress, but it's not the highest level we can dig to in the hill. So we could dig, and once somewhere is flooded, obviously we don't want the water to escape and flood the whole fortress because that's bad. Right, okay, let's start engaging in massive hydraulic engineering. I'm sure it will go fine with our dehydrated dwarves. So we will dig a tunnel over into the hills, a bit further into the hills, and then an upstair downstair, more tunnel, and then the idea is that we like what do we want to do? We dig over to here, we put in a downstair there, an upstair there, and this will be a reservoir. Think, Ben, think. The reservoir should have a reason, should actually be set back a bit. So, no, let's not do it like that. So let's start from thinking about what shape the reservoir should be. So the reservoir should be set back a bit from the river, and then should have a tunnel that connects it to the river. Note that I haven't actually designated digging through the wall. Then for construction access we want a staircase on that side. And so the idea is that we dig out this layer, then we're going to want an access staircase in the reservoir itself. We dig out at this layer, then we come through from here, then we make this staircase, we place a grating there, and then we dig out that final square, and then run like hell for the stairs, and come up the stairs in order to get out. And we can actually make all the other accesses to the reservoir later. And we hope that no one knows how to remove gratings. I mean, nothing that can swim knows how. Oh no, I have this horrible feeling that things might be able to swim through gratings. Well, we'll find out, won't we? I mean, I could look it up on the wiki, but where's the fun in that? Yeah, so it turns out that Claire was watching closer than I was and saw the incoming zombie cat. I mean, not that I could do anything about it, because the dwarf involved was eating and is now dead, drinking and is now dead, because no one else got round, none one in the fortress actually got round to digging out the tunnels necessary to get them out. So yeah, I think we need to ensure that no one is thirsty when we actually go out there, which means we need the water supply system. Right, well, let's see what that does then. Let's stick a door in that, so that any embarrassments that occur Why are you guys alternating who digs each square? That's really unhelpful. Are you now sulking because you're too thirsty? Not very. Oh, because the burrow doesn't allow you to go out that far yet. Right, yes. I think we can actually... Well, no, we should make this burrow work properly, shouldn't we? I mean, I could just turn it off, because it doesn't really matter whether anyone's in or not at the moment. But let's mark all of the... dig again. Right, we have a door that will protect us. I note that nothing has actually come in through the exterior door, so I'm reasonably confident that at least cat skeletons can't get in there. I'm slightly worried about whether... Oh gods. Oh no, that's only a ghost. Ghosts I don't really care about. We're working on ghosts. Indeed. Our miner seems to be very easily distracted at the moment. So, this of course is going to require getting some stuff in from the caravan, from the wagons, and the undead are still far too close to them. Yes. So I also want to put a door in this corridor so that the when we run away from... See, ideally what I want is a hatch cover, because at least in earlier versions nothing could open a hatch cover from below. They're not a cleaner of ghostly fish, they're a ghostly cleaner of fish. I mean, really. Is that not obvious? I am glad I got lots of miners for this trip and lots of picks though.
Reminded me of the thing that Tom Roderick from SGR about half an hour ago, which was, if your sort of video is good, where do I find 3 hours in the boat to watch it with a vector trail or a submarine? Where do you find something to watch it on?
Right, so now... No. Let's just build a grating in the wall there. And a door there. With the idea being that then the water will flow through the grating into the reservoir. We will then need some way to get stuff out of the reservoir, so I should build some accesses to it. We could have a kind of beach, couldn't we? But maybe we'll do that after we've checked that the water doesn't flood the entire fortress. Slightly worried that you found someone dead. And when you say found, they're on the surface. No one that we know should be able to see them. Except who's that? There's a visiting human axeman. Well, good luck. Bloody hell, I think he may have actually defeated someone. Wonder if we can get him in. Like, the cat skeleton is no longer undead. It's actually been defeated. Right. I'm not sure that I mean, I can unlock the door, but I'm not sure I really want to, for all that he's doing a good job out there and all. Right, I'm not even sure what it takes to get a guest inside. Right, what I will do is permit that door and watch quite closely. And like, I've got 2 other backup doors that I can lock if anyone gets into this corridor at all. Meanwhile, people are installing the furniture for the reservoir, so that's fine. Oops. Now, our human axeman does not actually appear to want to come indoors. He appears to want to go out and hit things with axes. Which, I mean, I'm quite happy for him to go out there hitting things with axes. He just charged a dog skeleton and knocked it over. And hacked some bits off it. No one is in the corridor yet. Yes, they've currently gone, oh, maybe we can get some stuff in from the surface. No, you can't. Well, no, you can't. Not until you stop being thirsty. Okay, the human axeman has been... Whoa! That was messy. All those body parts flying away. Oh right, yes. Someone got at his teeth teeth tend to make a bit of a mess. Yeah, okay, this poor human axeman, while he has done a sterling job, is not actually going to survive this, I don't think. No. I mean, I'm considering letting people temporarily out, but no, they're all thirsty and they'll just go out there and start drinking. So are those installed yet? No. Because, like, while the undead are distracted, we might be able to get some stuff in, but I don't think that's safe. Right, the Axeman's dead. Sorry. He took several of them with him. So let's lock the door again. Right. So now I think we dig through there. And that should let the river water into our reservoir. We're really lucky no one will drown in the process. Yep, it looks like no one has drowned. So now ideally we build a well. Wonder if we can do that. So, ooh, we need mechanisms and blocks. Well, let's set to work on getting enough stuff to build a well. Ooh. What's the symbol for blocks? Blocks. I think we can make buckets out of rocks, sadly. There's buckets are in here, but no. We can make buckets out of wood, and we believe it's safe to remove that wall, which is made of wood. So we could get enough stuff from that. I mean, I don't know if the dwarves will actually drink if we just give them a pond, but I have this horrible feeling they won't. So I think we do need a well to cheer them up. So I think that means we need to be slightly brave and remove that wall. I think is just about safe, because as far as we know, the undead can't come through doors because if they come through locked doors, they would already be inside. That one is definitely forbidden. I mean, I might put in some more walls higher up, but so meanwhile, we now have some slabs available, so let us erect down in the corner of this room. No, I don't think that was what I meant. So in here we have one granite memorial to Sibrek Burnish. In memory of Sibrek Burnish, born 76, bled to death, slain by the zombie dwarf Right Bushes the Slick in the year 157, expedition leader of the Sax of Pointing in 157. So it's a granite memorial. Oops, no. And I think we do build Alt S. Right, yes, and we want to install the granite memorial to Sibrek Burnish there. We've reached the seasonal autosave. Take a little while. So yes, well, that's a goodly bit of progress. Summer has arrived on the calendar, and possibly in the real world. Don't think we've actually got any stingrays in the aquarium. Indeed, it's not very much water in there. It's flowing in fairly slowly from the river. Sibrek Burnish, ghostly fish cleaner, has been put to rest. So that's good. So what I do need, though, is to make somewhere I can make a bucket. It's going to need a carpenter's workshop. So let's, out of the one unit of wood I have available, so let's dig out a bit more space here. You just know everyone is going to die of dehydration just before I reach the point of actually having a well they can drink from. Is that door forbidden? Probably should be, just to be on the safe side. But I should... probably wall that off for safety. Let's so dig a small alcove here, which is where we will put the well. So yes, we're clearing enough space to make a carpenter's workshop where we can build a bucket out of the one unit of wood that we have available, because we don't yet have anything we can make metals out of. Technically we might be able to melt down some things, except that like what we have in our possession is like 3 picks and an axe, and they're kind of important. I hope I can build a carpenter's workshop out of stone.
That's weird. I didn't know whether you said 3 pigs and an axe, or 3 picks and an axe, and both of them make sense.
Yes. Right, we now have a carpenter's workshop, so there I hope we can build a wooden bucket. Meanwhile, we also need to be able to make mechanisms. And you can make mechanisms out of stone. And you do that at something bizarre, I think. Like, I think it might not be at a mechanics workshop. Let's just check if it's at a craft force workshop. actually have to look this one up. It's going to be a faff if I build the wrong thing. So it might be a mechanics workshop. I'm going to resort to the wiki because it would be embarrassing to get this wrong. Mechanisms. Stonework mechanisms are made at a mechanics workshop from any type of hard stone. Right. I need to give someone the job of being a mechanic. Ah, I think they are actually drinking because he's down there, and I can't see any other reason why he'd be down there. It's good. Engineering? Yes. Let's just make you all kinds of engineering person. Still thirsty, mind. You're not drinking, so maybe you're not. Maybe that's not good enough. You're sleeping. Oh, are people now passing out? And everyone's passing out simultaneously from thirst. God, yeah. But you didn't think to go and get some water while you were still conscious. Oh no. Well, happily, someone is making a bucket. So all being well, the one person capable of making a bucket will make a bucket and then get some water to everyone else. Right, there is a bucket. Someone has already decided that their job is to use the bucket to get some water. Oh, we have a human maceman. Well, I suspect that they're just going to suffer the same as anyone else visiting at the moment. Like, what the... We have an entire flock of undead giant tortoises out there. We've got a serious food problem. I mean, everyone's currently worrying about the fact they have no water. Well, really, they're worrying about the fact they have no beer. But, they're very shortly going to be worrying about the fact that they have no food. Oh. So now we're... Okay. They go, well, we got a bucket, but we haven't got anywhere to get water from. Okay, if I unlock that door temporarily... No, you still don't think you can get water even from there. Oh, hang on, hang on, hang on. Let's not actually make it that. Let's make it... You don't believe that can be a water source. Nor that. Yes, I've forgotten that I need to actually tag things as water sources. I think the rules for water sources are annoyingly restrictive. That can't be a water source because it's not next to water, and I can't do it from a staircase. And no one's doing any digging because everyone is horribly unwell, and the entire world outside is full of zombies. There's a slight danger that my entire fortress is going to die of dehydration. Even though a substantial amount of the fortress is flooded. Well, no. Even though we have a reservoir, we don't have any way to get water out of it, because I didn't carve it in quite the right shape. And no one now is willing to do any job other than give water. And the two people who have pickaxes are sleeping. So, well, let's make things to the point where if anyone actually wakes up, we immediately make something that's the right shape to be a water source, which I think means carving. And let's do it a little way away from my previous attempt. That, and then a channel. We do a down ramp. Oh, I think we just do channel like that. And that then might actually be able to be a water source. But this depends on anyone actually being conscious for long enough to do it. Okay, now we have a problem that everyone is just trying to pick up that bucket. So, what I'm going to do for now is to forbid that bucket. I can. Yes, the bucket is of course not in the so let's forbid that, but I'm now slightly worried about my procedure over here, and I'm going to change how I've designated this, because I think I might need a slope into the water, which requires a bit of care. So I will dig it out. No, not like that. And then hope that someone can manage that one of my people with a pickaxe will wake up for long enough oh, stoats. No. need to actually enlarge the burrow to the point where you can dig out the things I want dug out. Yes, don't. So I think they're still officially meant to be staying indoors. Right. Yes, stop cancelling that. Yes, right. If you guys can make it over here and dig a bit, I think I can make us a water source. Right. Let's see if that works. Water source, right. Now I can unforbid the bucket. Indeed, you don't technically need the bucket. People are now going to drink at the water source. Right, I'd forgotten how to make places that people could get water from. Now we can at least get everyone to not be dying of thirst. Then we just need to deal with the fact that everyone's starving. I think I might stop once we've got to the point where my dwarves are not, any of them, dying of thirst. They are then, of course, all hungry, which is going to have exactly the same problem. That if we let them out to anywhere where there's food... Oh! Maybe what I can do, though, is I can get them to drag the booze in first, and the seeds, and plant the seeds. This is kind of a bit brave. But notice the dwarves next to the water no longer have downward blue arrows flashing over them. Plus, we have the ability to build a well, or we have the ability to build a mechanism. And once we have a mechanism and some blocks, we'll be able to build a well, which will be even more cheering. Though, frankly, the shortage of food is going to be a problem. So I've just dug a hole in the floor there. So now once someone's made some mechanisms... So many visitors, and I don't think I can safely let them in. Or more to the point, I don't think they're going to come in even if I try to let them in. Actually, we've got this water buffalo, haven't we? Yes. I think we should slaughter the water buffalo. Oh gods! I think we should slaughter the water buffalo, but I think we can instantaneously butcher the water buffalo into edible things that can't come back to life. Except that it won't all be edible things. It will leave like fur and such like, and those can come to life. So I'd like to slaughter the water buffalo for food. but actually, dig out another layer down here for food. But if we slaughter the water buffalo, no, I don't want this priority one. Then we're going to need some safe way of disposing of body parts that will make sure they don't come back to quite literally bite us if we leave any teeth. So that's going to be an entertaining problem. Right, I think we've got some mechanisms, which I think now means that... What? I need a chain as well. You didn't tell me I needed a chain. Don't think there's a way I can make chain. Oh well, we'll have to do without a well, as it were. Right, so, waste disposal. I think what we want for waste disposal is a deep vertical shaft, which we then just stick a hatch cover on the top of and hurl things down, and I think that turns out to work. Indeed, just a deep vertical shaft with a door next to it. So let us dig out a new thing, say here. No, actually, let's put it right next to the... so this area is going to be a kind of kitchen-y area. So let's have off to the side of it a corridor, which then I think we want to dig make it a 10-unit deep staircase. Actually, no, we can use our main staircase for this, can't we? We don't need to dig a special construction staircase just for that. We dig a vertical shaft here. No. We dig a vertical shaft here. So the idea is we'll have a door, then a place to stand while throwing things down the shaft. Any resemblance to Dune Ray is entirely coincidental. And then we'll dig a corridor along there that we will then block, which we will then wall up before we start throwing anything down there. Say that most of this is quite a low priority. Critical bits are enough space to build a butcher's shop, and the waste disposal shaft. Oh, hang on. It's not muddy at this level. Yes, we are going to be digging through an aquifer. So there's a slight problem that our waste disposal shaft will flood. Worries me a bit, actually. Because if it does, then that might mean things can swim out of it. So, let us be a bit careful. And at the damp layers, actually let's temporarily, that's fine, let's temporarily undesignate toggle mark only, isn't there? Right. Temporarily undesignate that, and then we can wall off the aquifer at that layer and then go down further. That means we want some blocks. Do that. Problem is I don't want to stop now because I'm not going to remember all the things I'm trying to achieve here. Don't. My waste disposal shaft is out. I may disable burrows soon. Feels like it doesn't matter. No one can go in through or out through the doors anyway. Oh, and actually dug out level, not channeled. Hardly matters. Hang on, I've just realised a problem. Which is that because I'm digging this shaft vertically, what? How did he get in? Someone has made it inside the fortress. Don't think died of thirst, because I think we've only lost two. I think we lost one dwarf who died as a result of the very early bits of the game, and one who died while trying to get something to drink. Right. Well, I think I'm going to save at this point and give up for the night. Snooze. Yes. So, yes, we have an undead dwarf in our fortress, which I thought I had managed to avoid. We do not have quite enough zombie-proof doors inside the fortress. But actually, not many of the dwarves are in the... So we do have zombie-proof doors, but, like, there's a slight thing that I can only see one dwarf on the other side of the door at the moment. I don't know where the other dwarves have got to. Are they all in that square? Isn't Rackhurst... Idrakust, one of the early dwarves. What's happened? Oh well. I shall not right now worry about how this happened. We will deal with it in the next session if that ever happens. So yes, I think we only lost 2 dwarves. We have 5 still alive, which is the correct number, and the 2 we lost were both lost on the surface. So I am a bit concerned. Probably the best way to work this out is going to be for me to peer through the video if I'm feeling that enthusiastic. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I would say that you should like and subscribe, but that seems a bit silly. Okay, you should like Gareth. I suggest maybe it's from the last party and reanimated recently. I don't think we had any corpses inside the fortress. I think they got scattered. So I don't think it can be. So yes, anyway, good night all, and we'll try to sort this out